Being a woman is a special thing, especially if you want to get date. I lived in the US for a while, and apparently for Americans, German women read as lesbian. All of us. Kid you not, there is an online game out there that is called Lesbian or German Woman. I have a lesbian friend who came to Germany, and for about 3 weeks she thought that she'd gone to heaven. And then somebody offered her some German food, and so things were different then. But I have a lot of international friends, and so when I was a kid, everybody was always telling us in Germany, oh, never be afraid of cultural exchanges. They're always good. It's really great if you learn about other cultures. Only, that is not always true. For example, I have a Korean friend. I would ask if there were any Koreans in the house, if I could see anybody, but I'm not sure I can. So this Korean friend had an email address, and her email address was popokoyangi. And I laughed when I heard that. Anybody who speaks German will know why. And in Korea, apparently, she was confused. She wanted to know why I was laughing. And so I explained to her that in German, popo means not kiss, like it does in Korean. So her email address was actually, in German, would be kiss of a cat. And I'm like, it's more ass of a cat? So in Germany, in my culture, we would just laugh this off and move on with our lives. She changed her email address and never spoke to me again. Another thing that I had, I met a colleague of my husband's who's from Italy. And I had just moved to Frankfurt again, and one of the things I missed in the US was spaghetti ice, which is the most German desserts of all, but I didn't know that. So I was talking to this Italian guy and was like, finally, I have found a place that serves really good spaghetti ice. And he's like, spaghetti ice? Turns out Italians don't know what spaghetti ice is. And when I saw his facial expressions, I realized that I had seen that before on my Korean friends when I told them about rice pudding. Ice? Not a good thing. Or another thing was, I hang out with a lot of Korean people, so my kids picked up this habit of, being really cute. And I have a Scottish friend because, as a dutiful mother, I'm preserving all the embarrassing moments of my children for posterity on Facebook. So my Scottish friends were like, that's just plain rude. You can't do that. Because any Scottish people or British people in the house? So this, apparently, in Scotland means this. So I thought it was funny, and I told my Korean friend about it. It was like, that's so funny, isn't it? Now, on every picture I see of him, he wears a slightly constipated expression and is a very proper Irish dancer because he's not doing it anymore. But the cultural differences are not just like the big ones, but there's also some within Germany. I'm from the Rhine region, so anybody who's not ever lived anywhere else in Germany and thinks that Germans are like the people here in Hesse, that's not true. They're a very special breed. For example, where I'm from, you'd be, if you meet somebody in the streets in the evening while you're on a walk, you say good day, and the other person will say good day too. If this happens to you in Hesse, that person is not born and raised here. I had a neighbor, and I'm living here now for a year, and I was trying to get to know my neighbors, which is really hard. The only neighbor I actually met and got to know was an Indian person. I walked past her garden, and she had these beautiful white roses. And where I'm from, I was like, this is a nice thing that I can, reach out over and say, oh my God, you have such beautiful white roses, and they smell so nice. And she was like, yeah, I guess. So I walk, do my errand, and I come back, and all the roses are gone. She cut them all off. I always try to understand my fellow human beings, but I really don't know what went through her mind. Maybe it was like, you evil roses, you have to die, all of you have to die, so that the woman who lives across the street for over a year now will not talk to me again. It has been 2 months, there were no more roses. Thank you.
Thank you.